Well, hello. This is Mrs. Robertson, and today we're starting Chapter 12, and we're going to try to attempt doing two lessons. Lesson 1, line plots, and Lesson 2, histograms. I think you've been doing line plots and histograms for a while. I know you see them in science and social studies. So we're going to go to page 863. So open your books up. This is Chapter 12, Lesson 1. Okay, what we're going to do is make a line plot of this information. It says, students in Mr. Cotter's class were asked how many after-school activities they have. Their responses are shown in the table. Use the data to complete the frequency table. Does everyone know how to do tally marks? Thumbs up. I'm assuming that's okay. So let's make tally marks here. How many zeros are there? There are 2 of them. So I put down 2 tally marks. Everyone doing that? How many ones? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tally marks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for the 5th tally mark, what do I do? Diagonal. So I'm going to make my diagonal. That's number 5, 6. The reason they do that is you can count by 5s quickly and you can glance and count them. Everyone's done that before? Good. I thought you had. How many 2s are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many 3s? 1, 2, 3. And 1, 4. So everyone has their tally marks. That's easy, isn't it? The next thing you do is step 2. It says turn the table so the number of activities is along the bottom of a number line instead of tally marks. So you're going to place X's above the number line. The X's for 0 activities have been placed for you. Okay, so instead of dots, they're putting X's. Sometimes you'll see dots for a dot plot. Okay, here they're using X's. So they have 2 X's above the 0 because you had 2 tally marks. How many X's are you going to put above the 1? 6. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any questions? The 2, how many X's, class? Right. The 3 and the 4. Any questions on how to create a line plot? Pretty simple, isn't it? Okay, let's go to the next page. Make a line plot. One way to give a picture of data is to make a line plot. A line plot is a visual display of a distribution of data values where each data value is shown as a dot or other mark, usually an X, above a number line. A line plot is also known as a dot plot, so they are the same thing. Okay? All right, so let's look at number 1. Here, they just put an X above the number line for each one of the numbers. Okay, any questions on how to do that? Good. Now let's go to step 3. Describe the data. It says 24 students responded to the question. How did they know 24 students responded to the question? How do you know it's 24 students? Yes. There are 24 X's, right. Let's put 24 X's. That's how you know how many students. So if there was another X, it'd be 25 students. You got it? Okay. No one has more than 4 pets. Okay? This is the number of pets. The most that you can have in this one is 4 pets. How many people have 4 pets, kids? 2. All right? What's the most popular number of pets to have? 2 pets. Do you see how to read that graph? Okay. Now we're going to do letter A. It says, this person, JVR, asked the members of his 4-H club how many projects they were taking. The results are shown. Make a line plot, then describe the data. So let's make a line plot. Let's put some X's. Now you might have different techniques. I'm just going as they happen here. Oh, one had 0 projects. 5, 4, 2. 5, 4, 2. Another 2. 3, 2. All right, now tell me some information about this line plot. What do you see? What's the most number of projects anyone could do in this? Yes, Quinn?
5.
5, right. What's the mode of the data? The mode, yes. 2 is the mode, very good. Looking at the data, what's the median? If you had to find where the middle number is, it's pretty easy on this one. It's the same as the mode. What is the median? Yes.
2.
2. All right. You could say that only one person had 5 projects and one person did no projects. There are a lot of things that you could come up with. So, if on a quiz, I would ask you to write 3 statements about this graph. Could you come up with 3 statements? All right, it's not going to be hard to come up with statements for this, is it? All right, now let's go to the next page. Analyzing line plots. It says, let's just go under the example, the line plot shows the prices of cowboy hats. All right, $30 to $50. It says find the median and the mode of the data. Then describe the data using them. All right, so it says, let me make sure we can see this. There are 16 hat prices in dollars represented in the line plot. The median is in between the 8th and 9th pieces of data. The 2 middle numbers shown on the line plot are 40 and 45. So since there are 2 middle numbers here, you add them together and divide by 2. So the median is $42.50. This means that half of the cowboy hats cost more than $42.50 and half of them cost less than $42.50. The number that appears most often is 50. So the mode of the data is 50. This means that more cowboy hats cost $50 than any other price. What's something else that's sort of unique about this graph, this line graph? Do you see something that sticks out? Quinn? There is an outlier. I would have mentioned that. It's like, that must be some special designer cowboy hat. It's $75, okay? So I would have mentioned that whenever I was describing the, this information. Any questions on that? Number 3, oh, here we go. Find the range and outliers of the data. Then describe the data using them. Well, the range is 75 minus 30, which is 45. The limits of the outlier are $12.50 and $72.50. So 75 is an outlier. That part right there isn't really necessary, the limits for the outlier. We didn't really discuss that as a 6th grade standard as to how to figure out your limits, but we do know that $75 is an outlier. Okay, any questions? Okay, let's go to letter B. The line plot shows the number of magazines each member of the student council sold. Find the median, mode, and range and any outliers of the data. Then describe the data using them. Okay, so for B, we have to find the median, the mode, and the range. Okay? And then we'll talk about it. Well, our median, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So they're going to be two middle numbers. It's going to be the seventh number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're both the same. So our median is going to be 20. That's the seventh number this way. That's the seventh one. And then if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it's also the seventh one this direction, okay? So it's the seventh number, and they're both the same. What's the mode in this grouping? 20. And the range is going to be 25 minus 17, and it's 8. Are there any outliers? No, no outliers. Okay, so if you had to describe it, it's like number of magazines sold, it's around 20. Wouldn't you say? You say, oh, the class sold around 20 magazines. That's a pretty good estimate, right? Yeah, because it's either a little bit more or a little bit less, but it's going to be around the 20s. Any questions on that? Good. Let's go on to 866. It says, the line plot shows the amount James deposited in his savings account each month. Describe the data. Include measures of center and variability. So here you know that the mode is 50, right? Is there an outlier? Yes, the outlier is what? 75. The middle number, the median, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are two middle numbers. It's going to be halfway between 45 and 50. So that's going to be, you add 45 to 50, 95 divided by 2. And that's going to give you the answer of 47.5. So the median, or excuse me, the median is $47.50. Any questions? Okay, let's do letter C. It says the line plot shows the prices of sweaters in a store. Describe the data, include measures of center. Okay, here the mode is 25, right? There's an outlier. What's the outlier? The outlier is 65 on that. Let's see, what's our median? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's an even number. There'll be two middle numbers in this one. So our median is let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's going to be the same one. It's going to be 30. It happens to both land in the same one. The median equals 30. You could add them all together and divide by 10 and get the mean. And when you do that, you get 35, I think is your mean. Yeah. Your mean equals 35. Any questions on how to interpret that? Okay, so let's do the guided practice number 1. We're going to put dots above or X's above the number line here, and then we'll just write 3 statements about it. Come up with 3 things you can say about this one, okay? So here we go. You go ahead and do this, and I'll do mine, and then we'll compare notes in a moment. Okay, so your line plot should look like this. There are 16 X's. Each X represents peanut butter. So there are 16 different types of peanut butter. Now you don't have to have all the same ones I have, but I'm just going to put down some of these. Your median is 190. I'm missing one of my x's above the 190. Yeah, your median, your mode is also what? 190. Your range, 210 minus 160 is what, 50? The range is 50. We have an outlier, don't we? What's the outlier? The outlier is 160. Any questions on how we got some factual statements there? I could have given you more. I could have said that the interquartile range would be 200 minus 187.5, so that would be 12.5. We could have found the range, the mean. We found the range. So since there's an outlier, you would want to use the median or the mode, wouldn't you? They're both the same. Okay, now, for homework on this lesson, turn the page. All I want you to do is number 1 and number 3. And when it says describe, this is really easy, kids. You just do the little X's on 1 and 3. They already have the X's for you. It says find the median, the mode, and the range. That won't be hard to do. You all know how to do that. Do the same for number 3. Find the median, the mode, and the range, and then like one other statement. All right, you have to describe the data. So maybe tell me if there, oh, and any outliers. That was the other thing. Any questions on how to do that? Okay, now we're going to go on and look at lesson 2, histograms. All right? I told you we're going to get 2 lessons in here today. Oh, I don't know if we're going to quite have enough. Yeah, we should have enough time. Page 871 now. Check with your neighbor. Make sure they're on page 871. This is chapter 12, lesson 2. After I'm done going over this. All right, histograms. You've done histograms in science and social studies. Once again, we'll go over this rather quickly. Here they have a list of concert prices. Average ticket price to the top 10 money-earning concerts. So it says, fill in the tally column and frequency column on the frequency tables. This time, instead of every specific price, what did they do here? They grouped them together. So it's like, how many tickets are in this range, how many tickets are in this range, and how many tickets are in this range. You got it? It's very easy. So you go up here, let's make some tally marks. How many tally marks do we have for this problem? Well, how many tickets are in that range? Just 1 ticket is in that range. Let's see, 83.87 goes in this one. 68.54 goes in that one. 51.53. 62.10 goes in that one. 59.58 in that one. That's the one that's, there's only one where the tickets are that cheap. 66.58 this one. 88.49 is in between 75 and 99. 50.63 is in this one. And 68.98 is in that one. Any questions? I didn't know how expensive, I've not been to a concert in a long time, years. I didn't know how expensive concert tickets are. Those are cheap concert tickets. When I saw that's like $100 or more to go to a concert, that's ridiculous. I don't see how people can afford to go to concerts. Even with these prices, these are the prices that I paid when I last went to a concert. And that's pretty expensive there, kids. So I don't know how people do it. All right, well, anyway, now we do a frequency. There's just 1 tally mark, so that's a 1. This is going to be what number? 7, and this is a 2. Any questions? All right, now these are like obvious questions. What does each tally mark represent? 1 concert. Sometimes a tally mark can represent more than one thing, but in this one it's just one concert. What is one advantage to using the frequency table? Well, you don't have to have as many. You can group them all together and it makes it a little bit easier to interpret the data sometimes. And it says, what is one advantage of using the first table? Well, here in the first table you can identify specific average ticket prices. So here in the first table you know specific prices. Do you know the specific prices if you're only looking at this one? No, but it's just a better to glance. It's like you can figure out as a whole what they are doing. Okay, let's go on to page 872. Interpreting data. All right, now this is pretty important to make sure you know all the things you need to have in a histogram. Data from a frequency table, and that's what this is called, can be displayed as a histogram. It's a frequency table that's being displayed in a histogram. A histogram is a type of bar graph, see those are bars, used to display numerical data that have been organized into equal intervals. Kids, that means this is the same amount of money as this is. Whenever you're comparing the amount, like is it $5 between here, $5? Actually, this is a little bit more than $5 if you subtract, but they all have the same amount of money in between them. These intervals allow you to see the frequency distribution of the data, or how many pieces of data are in each interval. What are the parts of a histogram? Well, you have a title. The title of this histogram is Costs of Different Remote Control Airplanes. Then you have labels. These are the number of planes sold, and this is how much they cost, their price. You got that? You have to give those labels. Now, there is no, I want you to circle the word no. There is no space between the bars. See how the bars touch each other? In a histogram, they have to touch each other. Because all of the intervals are equal, all of the bars have the same width. Now, when you draw your own, it's hard to make them the same, but you want to try to make sure they're the same width. You don't want one like this, where you have a wide one, and then a skinny one, and then a sort of wide one. You don't want it like that. You want them so they're all the same width. Understand? And intervals with a frequency of 0 have a bar height of 0. You can't just skip it. You just don't give it a bar. You got it? So if the interval doesn't have anything, you just have it, its bar is at 0. Any questions? Okay, so now let's look at example 1. Refer to the histogram above. Describe the histogram. How many remote control planes cost at least $100? Okay, kids, so what you do, you find the $100 mark. Here it is. They cost at least $100. Well, you have let me go down here and we'll go over this. It says there are 9 plus 7, 9 plus 7 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 are 20. There's the other 20 prices in dollars recorded. More remote control planes had prices between $25 and $49.99 than any other range. That was the most popular. There were no airplanes recorded with the price between $125 and $149. That was there. 2 remote control planes had prices between $100 and $124.99, and 1 remote control plane had a price between $150 and $174.99. So, how many had 100 or higher? 2 plus 1. This one plus this one. 2 plus 1, so it's a total of, have at least, it says remote control planes had prices that were at least $100, so the answer is 3. How many remote control planes cost at least? That's the smallest amount. So I wish they would have said $100 or more. That would have made more sense. It's 3. This one is 2 plus the 1, so you have a total of 3. Okay, so let's go to letter A. In letter A, it says, refer to the histogram above. How many remote control planes cost less than 75? All right, kids, we find the 75 here. It has to be less than 75. That is 75. So it's going to be this interval and this interval. This interval is 7. This interval is 9. So what's 7 plus 9? Right, 16. 7 plus 9 equals 16 airplanes are less than $75. Okay, let's go on to example 2. In example 2, they took this data, they did the tally, they did the frequency. Now we are going to do step 2 and do the bar graph. Okay, are we ready to do the bar? All right, so daily visitors to the state park, number of visitors, frequency. 100 to 149 has 2. So I'm going to make it about that wide. Now, this one has to touch that one. And this one we have 7. Go up to the 7. It's halfway between the 6 and the 8. Try to make it the same width as best you can. 200 to 249, that goes up to the 8. Once again, your bars in a histogram, they touch each other. 250 to 290, just 1. Another one. And another one. All right. Make it so they all look like they're ones. It looks a little bit. Any questions on how to do a histogram? Everyone okay with this? Great. Now your graph, it should look like the one below. Okay, yep, it looks pretty much like it, doesn't it? You can shade it in, but we're not going to take the time to shade it in today. Let's go to 874. In this one, we're going to do our tally sheet, and then we're going to graph it. Okay, so let's get going quickly. Now we need to figure out our frequency. That's the hardest part on this. What's your smallest number in the graph? 68. Is there one smaller than 68?
65.
Where's 65? Oh, there's 65. Is there anything smaller than a 65? What's our largest number? Is it 98?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to go from the 60s almost up to the hundreds. I am going to group them in groups of 10. So let's say 60 to 69. Even though it doesn't go down to 60, we've got to make sure they're in groups, okay? The next one can be my 70s, 70 to 79. Do you see how figuring out your interval's the hardest piece here? Then we go to the 80s, and then the 90s. Okay, I can get all of my numbers in that tally mark now, can't I? Okay, 72, 97, 80, 86, 92, 98, 88, 76, 79, 82, 91, 83, 90, 76, 81, 94, 96, 92, 72, 83, 85, 65, 91, 92, 68, 86, 89, and 97. All right, my tally's got a little bit into the frequency, but that's okay. Now we just write down our frequency. How many tallies for that interval? 2, 5, 10, and 11. Everyone okay so far? All right, now over here, we have to put our scores. These are our scores. So this information goes down here, and number of students, we've got to go up to an 11. If I go by twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, I can go by twos. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and the top one's 12. The hardest part is fitting in our intervals. We have 4 of them. So I'm going to do 60 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, and 90 to 99. Okay, see how I've got my intervals? There wasn't enough room for me to write them crossways. Now we just do our bars. Up to the 2. This one's going to go up to 5. That's halfway between the 4 and the 6. You kids are all good at that. Up to the 10. And up to an 11. Mine are leaning a little bit, but as I said, when you're drawing these, it's hard to make everything perfectly straight. Are there any questions? Can everyone do a histogram? Okay, so what does Mrs. Robertson want you to do today? I want you to do, we're going to skip, I think we're okay. Do we need to do the guided practice, or did we do okay on this one? Good. So you have time to work on your homework. On page 875, do all. Kids, they're real easy. The only one that takes time is number 5. You have to draw a histogram in number 5. The rest of these you can get done in 3 minutes. They just ask, describe it. It's really easy. So your assignment is to do page 875, all. Okay, I don't think there's a house problem on 876. Yeah. So we're just going to do that. And that'll be it. So don't forget to do page 875 all. And then your other page you have to do for homework, 867, you do 1 and 3. Page 867, you do numbers 1 and 3. Any questions? All right, so let's get going and work hard. Have a good day.